have you read any of Stockdale? So what should we? Have you read Rutger's book? He's Dutch.
Yes.
It's so good. He was just here. So I thought it was amazing.
He was just here? That's awesome.
Yeah, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I just pick out some books that I think people will like and we can have them. What else might you like? Okay, so do you know about Ambrose Bierce, the American cynic?
No.
He's like our most famous cynic. So he's he wrote The Devil's Dictionary. He's known famously as the Cynic. But he fights for the Union in the Civil War.
Yeah.
And he writes this famous story called An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, which is probably the most famous. Have you heard this short story?
No.
It's like an amazing short story.
Okay.
That's like super good. So then he becomes like this sort of muckraking journalist in the Gilded Age. He's like contemporary with Mark Twain and stuff. And so he's like lowercase cynic because he's calling out all the bullshit and the horrors of his time. Yeah. But like people aren't getting like Diogenes, he's this idealist at heart. He's like, I don't understand why we're letting these railroad barons buy our democracy, and it's this fascinating guy. I think you're.
Oh, I'm so excited! Thank you.
And then so the crazy sort of irony of it is he's actually Stoic. Like his father's name is Marcus Aurelius Bierce, and his uncle, who's also it was a Civil War general, is named Lucius Verus Bierce.
Oh
so he's kind of steeped in this classical tradition, and he's more. I haven't looked that much of what he's said about Diogenes, but he's kind of this. So his he has this Devil's Dictionary, which has all these like hilarious things. Like, let me give you his definition of a philosopher. It's so good. The phrasing is good. I don't want to do it. Okay. Ambrose Bierce.
I had no idea.
You've never even heard of him?
No, I had no idea this guy existed. I am so excited. This is what I'll be reading on a plane. It's amazing.
And the stories are like, there's not a great biography of him. Carrie McWilliams, who was like a sort of muckraking journalist in the 1900s, wrote a biography about him, but it's very out of print. Okay, so The Devil's Dictionary is his most famous work, because most of his journalism, other than this one short story, is all forgotten. But his definition of a philosopher is, all are lunatics, but he who can analyze his delusion is called a philosopher.
That's excellent.
So that was good. And then
really good.
the two stories I would read. So he has Occurrence of Owl Creek Bridge, start there, and then read Parker Adderson, Philosopher, which is this short story about this Union soldier who's caught as a spy, and he is like being interrogated, and he's this brave sort of prisoner. And he's aping all the things that a Stoic or a Cynic would say if they're about to be sentenced to death, which he knows is his thing. And then like at the last second, and all of his things have a twist, so I won't, but at the last second, they tell him, oh, you're not going to be executed by firing squad, you're a spy, you're going to be hung. And then we see whether he means the philosophical pretensions or not. So I think you'll really like him. Okay. What else might you like? Let's go back to philosophers. Philosophy's over here. I don't know if what do you think like the best edition of, like if someone was like, I want to read Diogenes, other than your biography, because we've been trying to round out the philosophy, what work of, is it like, I think I read the Penguin collection of Diogenes, but what do you recommend to people?
I think the Penguin edition by Robin Hart is really good because it's quite complete, and it has sort of like, it has basically everything you need in English. There's also in this series, in this Princeton series, there is a recent one.
Is there one of Diogenes?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to get this.
And it is. I think. I think it's called How to Say No.
How to Say No.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. I love this series is incredible.
No, it's a great series.
And it's I think I don't know why it's also in Latin. I think it would be more accessible if it was just.
I was just gonna say I think it's so nice that they're bilingual because maybe it'll tempt people into seeing if they can read some of this on their own. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So How to Say No is the Princeton one about Diogenes, which I think is great.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
He's sort of like Musonius Rufus, where there's just not a great. Have you read this? Book,
I mean, I think her translation.
I thought it's really good. Yeah,
it's what I give to my students.
The title is not good. It's almost as bad as like Cynic or Stoic, where you're like, wait, so okay. Because it so comes down to the words, right? And it's like that one should disdain hardships. To me, it sounds like it's saying like avoid hardships.
Exactly.
In the same way that like apathy or resignation or indifference are these words that like mean the opposite of what.
No, and it's exactly like also same word or a similar thing with scorn.
Yes.
Like with students, like I always talk about scorn. Like, what do they mean? You should scorn it. I'm like, well, what it means is that you shouldn't allow yourself to be bothered by it, but you shouldn't avoid it, right? You should be ready for it, and if you encounter it, then you have to, not be derailed, right? That is what it means. But I mean, those words
are these things better in other languages? Like how does Dutch render the? Is it? Are there similar problems, or it's like no, because our word is got a bazillion consonants in it.
There's similar problems. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's the only thing that I really like about German is that they actually came up with two different words for modern cynicism.
Oh, really?
And for ancient cynicism, where modern cynicism is cynismus with a Z, and then ancient cynicism is kynismus with a K.
See, that's brilliant.
So that is really, really helpful. Helpful. I wish we did that in other languages, but not in Dutch.
When the Germans also would be like, well, why don't we just mash like 15 words together and call that a new word?
Yes. Yeah. They like to do that too. But we like to do that in Dutch a little bit as well.
Yeah,
that's long words for sure.
We don't do that in English very much.
No, everything's its own little word.
I know. But the nuance of it is interesting. Yeah. Have you read, I'm writing about it now, have you read any of Stockdale?
I have not.
Do you know who that is? So Stockdale's, maybe this book I think is really interesting.
Yeah. No, I've definitely, I know his story, but I haven't read him.
It's
more, so I'm excited.
It's more overtly philosophical than you would think. He's parachuting in, he says like, he knows he's like, I'm entering the world of Epictetus. Like he's explicitly thinking of a POW camp as a training ground to be a philosopher. Which is heavy and very interesting.
Yeah, and also so true to the Stoics and the Cynics.
Yes.
Right? To sort of say, okay, this is what I'm experiencing, this is happening to me right now, and this is what I've trained for, and I'm ready for it, and it's an opportunity to sort of to develop myself even further, and that's.
But also the idea that the philosophers are not having easy tenured lives.
Oh, absolutely.
In the sense of like even Diogenes, you're like, but it's like he's living thousands of miles from, or I don't know, hundreds of miles, how far it is exactly. But he exile must not have been fun. Like he might have made a light of it, but he's sent away from where he loses everything. There is this sense of. I love this. What's his name? They did a new edition of Viktor Frankl, and it's Yes to Life, and then the subtitle is In Spite of Everything.
Right. Yeah.
There's something about that of the ancient Stoics of just having a rough go at it that I think is powerful.
Yeah, and also the very basic. I mean, it almost sounds like a platitude, but I do think it's so meaningful to say that philosophy is something that you live, right? It's something that's in your experience, and it is in the everyday, and it is in the very smallest thing, and like in your very smallest decision, and it's not an armchair activity.
Well, I think
right?
that's probably why Diogenes was just so dismissive of that, like the thing about like, what's a human? It's a featherless biped, or the like, oh, we can't walk or you can't move, and it's like, let me show you.
Exactly.
He's just like, I don't have time for this bullshit. Let me like, these are not the questions we should be asking. The questions are not like, how do we know if we live in a computer simulation? It's like, what am I supposed to do about the fact that the government just took my stuff and threw me in jail?
No, and especially if you were sort of pursuing all of these hyper theoretical abstract questions, but in your everyday life are sort of being very unreflective and very unethical. Like, I mean, that is what just gets Diogenes mad, right?
Yeah,
and
what
then
do you
should
think
get
he
all
thought
of us
of
mad.
Aristotle? Actually working for Alexander.
Oh, I mean, I think he thought just as badly of it as he thought of Plato going to Sicily, right? I think he would have had no respect, right?
James Romm was actually just here.
I saw
his book about what's his name? What's the tyrant's name? Dionysius. Is fascinating. That they would both because his book about Seneca, I love Dying Every Day. That two smart people would get snookered so badly by something that like, and I guess this goes to your point about being on the outside of the inside, that is was so transparently obvious to everyone else who thought about it. And then you're like, oh yeah, there's all the, like you see it now, these smart people who like, there's obviously dumb people who fall for demagogues, right? All the time. That's what a demagogue does. But what's more interesting and then of course more terrifying is the mental gymnastics that a smart person can do to be like, actually this isn't horrible and it's good and that's why I should participate.
Exactly. And I mean, I think it's a combination between sort of, you know, wanting to be part of the moment, right? And sort of being misguided about what your best exactly, wanting to be in the room where it happens, right? And being misguided about the trade-off between impact and also being misguided about what impact is, right? I mean, Diogenes goes into the marketplace because he thinks that's where it can have impact, because that's where everybody will see him and talk to him, and he does. I think it's a combination between wanting to be in the room where it happens and sort of, you know, being sensitive to status, being sensitive to status of the king, and being like, well, if the king wants me to come.
Well, and also that the superpower of kings is it's the brutality often, and the violence and the power, but also they're really good at provoking that reaction in people. They're really good at making you think that you're important to them and that they need you and that you can restrain them, and you know, like they're the superpower is like the superpower of a Trump is his ability for every person to meet him and go, oh, it's going to go differently with me and you. Like that Elon Musk is going to be like, no, I think it's going to go well. It's like anyone with like, so what is that ability? And I think that's what both Plato and Nero fall for. And Diogenes has doesn't entertain it for a second. He sees Alexander for what he is.
No, and I think, you know, for Diogenes, he meets Alexander, and if Alexander had wanted to change his life after he met Diogenes, great. Right? But Diogenes was not going to go to Alexander and was not going to change himself and drop everything because he thinks he's the one, and because he thinks, well, it's Alexander. I mean, he was ultimately just not intimidated by Alexander. He was like, okay, Alexander is just the same as the fishmonger I talked to yesterday, and if Alexander wants to talk to me, that's just as interesting as talking to the fishmonger. That's great.
But he's also probably like he's a psychopath. I bet he probably reads. I bet he sees him clearly as unchangeable in a way that Aristotle fools himself about. You know. That he would listen.
No, and also, you know, for Diogenes, he I mean, he sets the terms.
Yes.
Right? Like, so okay, if there was maybe some hope for Alexander, the very first step is that he comes to him instead of expecting Diogenes to go there, right? So it's already in that motion that you see the big difference between Diogenes and everyone else, that he won't go and visit him.
Yeah, I have a quote that I keep next to my desk where and I think they were Pompey's last words. It's a line from Sophocles. He says, "Whoever goes to the court of a tyrant becomes his slave, even if he goes there a free man."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And Diogenes always maintained the freedom. I read a lot. It's sort of my job. You can't write without reading. For almost 15 years now, once a month, I send out an email with my favorite book recommendations for that month. Books that I've been reading, books that I've been going through, books that changed my life, that inspired me, that I think connect to what's happening in the world. And you can sign up right now at ryanholiday.net/reading list.